How many times have you been to the zoo and wanted to take home every single animal? The main reason you can't is because it's animal trafficking. The Dalai Lama said today, more than ever, life must be characterized by a sense of universal responsibility, not only nation to nation and human to human, but human to every other form of life. The English Encyclopedia defines animal trafficking as the illegal gathering, transportation, and disbursement of animals and their derivatives. As you can imagine, this is a huge problem because it decreases wild populations and puts a further strain on already endangered species. Poaching happens in the majority of these cases, and an entire family of gibbons can be killed to obtain one baby. And once these animals are captured, they're usually mistreated. They're beaten, they're sedated, and they're drugged. And caretakers do not understand the responsibilities and needs for these wild animals. And these animals, like I said, they're wild, and therefore they're dangerous and extremely unpredictable, and they should not be in the possession of a person. A quick example of this is when Daily Mail reported a recent bust of 144 exotic animals. This included 110 pig-nosed turtles, 4 woodchucks, 21 snakes, 9 geckos. This is a ton. And they kept it all in just a few briefcases and water bottles and luggage. This is extremely inhumane, and when these people were asked why they had them, they just wanted to take home souvenirs, and they bought them from a weekend market for around $10,000 US. That is insanely cheap. Thailand struggles with the enforcement of animal trafficking for a few reasons. Geographically, it's huge. There's just a ton of area in the country. There's a ton of waterways, there's a ton of land. It's just a giant place to try and regulate this law. And it's extremely impoverished. The people struggle every day with poverty, and this is a way of life. This is a way to bring home money. And there's little law enforcement. There's light punishment for offenders, and what little law enforcement they have is usually corrupted because they struggle. Thailand has one of the highest amounts of illegally smuggled animals in the world. When I first read that, I was so astonished because in 2011, over $15 million US were recovered from Thailand alone. And that's just from illegally smuggled animals. Dead, alive, it's live animals, like they put in suitcases, and ivory, and tiger skins. It's terrible. And other countries have been pressuring Thailand into making this illegal, but Thailand views it as a way to enable its culture. It's a way for its people to survive, and so the law is relaxed. Punishment for offenders, the maximum fine is $1,600 for one animal. And the animal may be taken away, but there's usually no jail time. And one gibbon can sell for $160,000. That's incredibly expensive. And so in that way, the profit far outweighs the punishment, and people get away with it. With the correct paperwork, some exotics are still legal to sell. Some of these include servals and ocelots. I actually found a Facebook site that sells these animals. But when you look further into it, they also sell cheetahs, which is extremely exotic, extremely illegal, extremely endangered. And it shouldn't. As long as pet stores continue to sell legal exotic animals, there's always going to be a marketplace for other exotic endangered animals as well. Poverty, like I said, is a huge influence, mainly because these animals are kept as a way to bring in revenue. Tourists come to see these animals and they pay just a few dollars to take a picture. But these animals are drugged and sedated, and they're kept abused and mistreated just to prevent attacks on these tourists. And that's the reason they're there. They have to deal with it just because their owners are impoverished. Geographically, Thailand, like I said, is a huge country, and many confiscations in the news today are happening at the Thai airports. And this is mainly to put on a good face for other countries to say they're trying to do something about it. When in reality, most trafficking happens around not the air borders, but land borders and waterways. Most of the waterways lead directly into China, where there's a huge tiger bone market. And poverty and little law enforcement just enables this, and people get a free pass to go into other countries. To conclude, the Dalai Lama said we had to take responsibility, not just for ourselves, but for other living things. That means we have to take responsibility as the collective human race for our greed. And it's greed that drives animal trafficking. It's a huge problem, not just because the geography and the poverty and the law enforcement, but because human beings as a race are greedy, and this is going to lead to the eradication of wild populations such as cheetahs. And the individual animals that are kept in this trade are beaten and abused when they're sold, and animal trafficking needs to be punished more heavily and consistently, otherwise this will never end. Here's some of my works cited, and thank you.